Hello and welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. My name's Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Geoff Edie from Toronto, and we had a really great conversation. Geoff's involved in many ways of helping Canadians maximize their wealth through all of the different channels, through tax savings, through investment, through a strategy that they have for freeing up their RRSP or their what would be an individual retirement account. And we had a really great conversation about the front end of this, about how to get the conversation started. And, they do wonderful workshops. They've got a great model where they'll invite people to workshops. Then they have a big summit, and a lot of people end up becoming clients. And so we talked about how to streamline the front end and get into conversations with as many people as we can. And guess what my recommendation was? I think you're going to know, but I want you to hear it straight from me and Geoff. So enjoy this episode.
Geoff Edie.
Edie.
Edie. Okay, there we go. How are you?
Fantastic, sir. How are you?
I am good. I am in the evil scheme hatching position and ready.
Fantastic. So am I.
Yeah. Where are you? You're in Canada right now?
Yeah, Toronto.
Perfect. So tell me what's going on. I'd love to hear all the things you're up to. It sounds like you got a pretty unique thing happening.
Yeah, yeah, you could say that. So I actually joined forces with a good friend of mine, Craig Dunkerley, back in August. And Craig is the CEO of Blackthorn Group, which started as a tax and a bookkeeping firm. Okay. And he started branching out into, he's a professional real estate investor. He started branching out into real estate investments and offering them to friends and family. And then I came aboard in August as a partner on the investment side. And he's got a very unique RRSP strategy where
So RRSP for people in the U.S. is like an IRA, like a retirement account. It stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan in Canada.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. But basically, because of the structure of the investment, we're able to pass on tax savings to our clients and help them recoup the withholding tax when they try to withdraw that money. So typically, it's about a 30% return just on that portion of it.
So say that another way so I understand the ramification of it.
Well, basically, let's say somebody has $50,000 sitting in an RRSP here in Canada, or if it's in the States, it's locked in until you're 65.
Yeah,
and we help them access that long before they're 65 because we don't believe that it's a great investment vehicle because people don't really know the true value of it. So if they got $50,000 sitting in that account, they withdraw it, they'll lose $15,000 right off the top. But we help
as the penalty for. Is that a combination of tax and penalty, or is that just the penalty?
That's the withholding tax. The government asks the banks to withhold that money because, we believe it's because they don't trust people to save that money for them at the end of the year. But on average, it's about 30%. Sometimes it's a little lower, sometimes it's a little higher. But that 30%, we help them get it back at the end of the year on their taxes through a system of billing and structure and passing on the savings through the LP structure to them. So when I came on board, I recognized that, RRSPs, there's about $800 billion locked into Canadian banks right now through the RRSP system. And if we can help people get that out, that's a huge return for them on their retirement savings. Just make 30% the first year on any investment.
Right.
So, I mean, the overall goal is really to help people with their investments and their tax strategies and to save money. But I just recognize this as possibly a really good, compelling offer for them to get involved with us.
Okay. And so how do you find people right now? What's the process that you use?
Well, the company has a couple of different strategies. When I came on board, I started one kind of following your system, not kind of following your system. I'm trying to copy you as much as possible. Hey, Tony Robbins said success leaves clues. And
Right.
Yeah, I tend to follow people who are successful. I'm going to
model them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll admit, I'm a bit of a fanboy when it comes to you and Joe Polish. So
that's
great. I absolutely love your emails, and I'm doing my best to copy your structure. So when we find our clients, we've done a couple of different things. We started a live event once a week at our office, where we market through our existing database with the company to tell them that we're doing a financial education night once a week. We also started doing.
How big is your database right now?
It's a couple of thousand on that side of the company. For this part of it, our database is under 100 people still.
Okay.
Because we haven't really found the synergy between the two systems yet. We're trying to make them work and iron out on the kinks and working as a team.
Yeah.
But so far, those have been fairly successful. We've been doing it for about 4 months now, and I think we've probably generated about, 50, 60 leads that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very time consuming. And then we also do a meetup once a month where we bring in guest speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the past, I have spent money on Google AdWords and Facebook ads, and we will branch out to that. But following your model, I'm doing my best to not spend any money until we figure out our conversion rates and all of that stuff on the site.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, I pay attention. I'm coachable.
Oh, good. I like what I'm hearing. So the target audience then is. What is the Costa Rican connection here in this then?
Yes. So I told Lillian that Costa Rica was actually. I'll give you a little bit of my backstory. I went through some major life changes this year and went to Costa Rica. I have friends who own a real estate brokerage down there.
Okay.
And I was supposed to be living down there this winter, but when I was given the opportunity to work with Craig, I brought in the Costa Rican connection to it.
Okay.
So we still do sell real estate in Costa Rica through our partners, Blue Zone Realty, but we just branched out to a whole bunch of other things.
I got you. Okay, so that's not related. These are two different things. Is that right?
Two different things under the same company.
Okay, great. So you want to focus on the RRSP situation right now?
I think that's our basically it's a way to bring them into our company. I think it's a really compelling offer to say, hey, get your RSPs out without paying tax, because I know a lot of people are really scared of their RSPs. And then we can introduce them to what we do in Costa Rica and what we're doing in Canada, and we work also in Detroit and Florida.
Okay, and so what is it that is the outcome for people if they go ahead and do this? So you mentioned you're able to get them the 30%, on the first year. Who's the ideal person for this? Is it someone who has 50,000 minimum, or what would be the kind of best case scenario here of who you're looking for?
Well, I've kind of got a rough client avatar. You just sent out an email a couple of days ago about that. I'm a huge fan of that. Typically, it's probably a late 30s to early 40s woman, or married couple. But with anywhere from 20 to 65,000 sitting in an RSP, we can do more. But what I've found is it's usually somebody with a decent job. They've been putting money away for a while, but now they're starting to worry about their retirement because they don't see it shaping up the way they want.
Okay. Yeah. And what's the message that you've been using to get them to come to the workshop? Is the workshop the first offer that you're making? So like they're coming from, they don't know you, and then the reason that they identify themselves is because you've invited them to come to a workshop, or are you doing something else to get them to raise their hand?
So on the website, we did have a get the 5 or get the 5-step process, but I've changed that to a 4-video process. So here's 4 videos on how to get your RSP out, and then also how to stop losing money in taxes, fees, and interest. From there, they get sold to, we do 3 times a year, a large event, our Financial Success Summit, and it's a $47 commitment. They can bring a guest, and we give them lunch. But from there, we introduce them to all of our programs. So the weekly one is actually just to generate leads into that program. It's not necessarily a step in the process once they've come in.
I gotcha. And what would be the headline of the offer that gets them to come to the workshop? What's the promise, or what's the messaging that's working?
That's a really good question. I don't know if I've actually figured out the messaging 100%, but
Well, what is it that what are you using? I mean, how are they coming into your world there? So you mentioned the 5-step process, but what was the what do you title the workshop, or the promise of what they're going to get?
What we promise is the speakers and the information. So I've kind of built it around there's a life learning and legacy process to our system. And the first thing we do is figure out where you're at, where you're losing money, and then figure out what you need to know. And then we can help you start getting to the retirement stage and all of that. But the promise, I guess, would be, here's what you need to know, and you can find it here.
Okay. So here's what you need to know to get your money out of your RSP. Yeah.
To get your money out of your RSP, we have a pay less interest program, so you can get your home. We have all of our offers kind of come together on that day, from our real estate to our pay less tax program, to our pay less interest program. We kind of give them everything that we do that day.
I got you. Okay. So this is kind of not just a specialty program that you're helping people with, but you've got other outcomes for them. So how to pay less taxes, how to pay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
The RSP is just kind of the sizzle.
Gotcha. But is that something that is appealing? Like, are people saying, well, how can I do that? Are they interested in doing that? And what is it that you kind of recommend that they do? Or maybe share with me a little bit about how that actually works.
So the system I'm working on, and I'm ironing out kinks still, is I typically have once they come in and start talking to us and have raised their hands, I'll fill out a client snapshot to kind of see where they're structured. And then from there, I send them to different parts of our company, whether it's they need an effective tax strategy and business registration, or if their home could, if they could pay less interest on their home and their debts, or if they're ready to start investing and create that legacy part of it, then we show them what we offer for investments. But we really want to extend the life of a client. We want to help them in every area when it comes to money. We even have affiliates in other parts where we can offer them insurance advisors or pre-construction condo experts and stuff like that. And that's where the Costa Rican thing comes in. Like, if you're ready to retire down south, that's where we bring that.
I gotcha. Okay. So kind of step one is, if you break it out, that you can help people save money on what they're already spending money on in terms of their home and their taxes. You can help them free up the money that's in their RSP to do other things with it. And that opens up the other opportunities that you have for them as well, for investing in Costa Rica or whatever. Okay. And so does the general message, like each one of those sounds kind of unique, that you could generate some interest on it alone? Is there some combination of them that would be that you could combine, like for instance, talking about their paying less interest on their mortgage, for instance, or paying less for their house. So you don't have the mortgage interest deduction like we have here in the States. So is that something that you're showing people how to do, how to make their mortgage interest tax deductible, or some strategy around their mortgage?
Yeah, that program in particular is run by some affiliates of ours, Ryan Mitchell and Coach for Cash Flow. And basically, they look at the structure of everyone's debt that comes into the program. They have a 7-question process that's a part of our snapshot. It just tells them how much interest they're paying, where they're paying it, and how much they can lower those payments every month. By amalgamating all of that into a lower interest loan. They can write off some of that interest. But more importantly, they can start saving an amount of money for their retirement.
I gotcha.
And cut all of their payment times down. Typically they save somewhere between 6 and 10 years on payments just by restructuring the debt and where it's sitting and how much they're paying on it. Okay.
And how do you articulate that to homeowners, or are homeowners a target audience for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're a target audience. That's part of the client avatar. Is they typically have a home, and not everybody we talk to has a home. And it's not always a good strategy for everybody to own a home. But when I fill out the client snapshot, it includes all of the questions that we need for our pay less interest program, for our investments, for our tax side. So typically I'll fill out that snapshot, and most of the time they need an effective tax strategy. So I'll send them to Hashem, our accounting expert, and then they'll come back to me. And by that time, I put a game plan together for them. It's just a little PDF presentation that shows them where we can go and different programs that may be able to save them money, and shows them the difference in math and all that stuff.
And are there some like unique strategies that you're doing tax-wise that are, little known or not widely adopted, or that have some kind of, that makes total sense when you hear it kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Or what kind of so can you share maybe a couple, and I can hear some, I can come up with and help out with the messaging of it?
Yeah, for sure. So at our 3 times a year event, the whole morning basically is dedicated to paying less tax and showing people how to register a business and take the write-offs that come along with a business.
Okay.
And our goal for them is to bring their taxable income down to 0 with deductions. It doesn't always happen, but that's our goal with it. And show them, a lot of people are leaving a lot of money on the table, and we're just using the existing tax laws. But as long as they've got the intent to make money and they're showing progress in their business, they're entitled to all of those write-offs. And it's a difference of a pretty significant difference, not only in money, but in time.
Right.
Typically, the average Canadian works until they're about 33 to pay off the government if they're living to 85 on average. But that's with income tax and all of the other stuff that goes along with it. But a business owner only works about the first 5 years of their life to pay those taxes if they're deducting everything that they can.
Right. Okay. And so that's a really great, so if you have a comparison, and a lot of people, they might not think that they could start a business. What kind of businesses are you, encouraging people to start, or they think that you've got to actually make money with a business, or have it be the primary thing that you're doing? But what about, how are you saying to people to start a business? What's kind of the simplest thing that somebody could do?
Well, we have a number of partners that we work with in multi-level marketing. And, the industry has gotten a bad name over the years, but I've found it personally to be great for sales training and leadership. And we recommend anybody that if any of our partners have products that you're interested in, that is a business avenue for you. It's extremely cheap to start. It doesn't require a lot of time. And as long as you want and use the product already, it's a good fit for you. And you can build it slowly and have help while you're doing it, but it's an easy way to get a business started and to be able to write off, most of the things that you do. Like one of the crazy things, my business partner, Craig, he wrote off his family dog. And it's a shift in mindset, because if he's out walking in the park, people can come up to him and talk to him about the dog, and eventually he would be able to talk to them about business, because that's just the way conversations go.
So he puts a logoed coat on the dog or something. Yeah.
Shaves the Blackthorn logo at the side of it.
I got you.
But
okay.
It's a shift in mindset. If you're thinking about how you can write things off before you do them, you can now have that access to tax refunds. Like something as simple as logging the mileage in your car and thinking about, if I'm going to the grocery store, do I have a flyer up there that I can change so that my drive to the grocery store is now a write-off for my business?
Right. Yes. Okay. And so there's lots of, and that's kind of a thing that a lot of people would start with. Okay. And do you do any sort of, because those, I look at those as kind of two separate things. I'm listening and I'm hearing, how can you get people, how can you identify people that you could help? And what kinds of things could you do that would get them to raise their hand? So I look at it from, if the offer is to come to a workshop or a free lunch, it just seems like the last, we've had a few now in a row, people who are using seminars as a lead generation tool. And, I've been sharing with people just the increase in response that you get by using a book as a lead generator as opposed to a workshop. Because, right now you've got a book is something that people can consume right away. That it's not, I don't have to want the information and be available on Tuesday night and be willing to come to a workshop, right? Like if you've got a message like, free up the money in your RSP, and you do it, and you could, whatever the strongest messaging is that if you had a book that was titled something that conveys that message, people can respond to that without having to commit to coming to a workshop or coming to spend any time on it. Right? We're all very busy, and to look at something and then say, well, I don't have time for that. Or if it's even videos as a lead generation tool are sort of a filter, because some people are going to come to the page, and if they see that it's 5 videos, they're going to feel like, okay, I don't have time to watch those right now, so I'm not going to respond. Whereas a book we can gather, right? So I can say, I don't have time to read this, but I want this information, so let me just grab this, and then future me will have this as a resource to go and read, right? Because we're so conditioned that books are valuable and that books are for research, right? And whenever we're gathering information about something, that's one of the things that we do is figure out, well, what books are available, what resources do I have, kind of thing. So using the book kind of triggers this response mechanism in our mind that is all of those value things align right away. So all we really need to trigger it is we've got to have a a book, as soon as even seeing the shape and the word book, we immediately know that this is valuable. And we got to have a title that as soon as they read it, your ideal client says, I want that. And then you got to have a way for them to get it, right? Which would be a landing page, an easy way for people to leave their name and their email address to get the book. And those are the things that trigger this, right? So the real then game becomes, how do we get a title that's going to immediately transfer the idea that is completely resonant with the person that we're trying to attract, right? What's the book that they want to do? Like when you're looking at, even like Pay Zero Taxes, that's a crystal clear articulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's
absolutely,
so if you look at that, if somebody is fed up about, they're realizing that they're paying too much in taxes, and if you're in Ontario and Toronto, that's pretty high taxes compared to
absolutely
other areas. So everybody's kind of looking for that as a thing. Now you get that message. If I resonate with that, Pay Zero Taxes, how do I do that? That's kind of the question that they would be asking. And then if the next step is, well, you got to come to this lunch seminar, then I might think, oh, okay, I'm not available for that, or I'm not interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can just go there, leave my name and email, and get the book, that's a very easy way for me to immediately scratch that itch that you've created by putting that title in front of me, right? And those are pretty good words. Pay Zero Taxes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's a pretty good thing. And that really will open up all of those other things that you have. What we really want is somebody who is, and looking at those things. So I would say, if you look at those like statement type of things, right? Like I look at it, that's a declaration, is like Pay Zero Taxes is something that is marching orders, I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do. I'm going to pay zero taxes, or write off your mortgage. If that's another set of words that you can do it, or the tax deductible mortgage, or the free your RRSP, where you're saying, if you can articulate in just a few words something that completely resonates with your audience, now you've turned what we call an invisible prospect into a visible prospect. Okay. You've now got somebody that you can communicate with. That's all we're really looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we were playing that game of thinking about book titles, what would be the title of the book that would be most resonant with your ideal audience? Or what do you think is, in talking with people, the most exciting message that you have of the 5 main ways that you teach, that you tell people about, or the 5? What are the 5 strategies again? Just so we'll see, maybe there's some clues here.
Well, one is the paying less interest. One is paying less taxes, investments, and basically, well, I guess it's taxes, fees, and interest are where you lose your money. We show them how to do all of their accounting and bookkeeping, and then we put them in. It's basically just like maximizing the value of the client throughout their life, because we have all of these other partners as well.
Yeah.
so that we have referral channels if you need insurance or you're buying a home or you need financing. We have all of those things as well. So it's about really getting them into the funnel, and from there we can develop them.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got the relationship with them. That's why it's even more important to start out that maybe maybe that's maybe the pay zero taxes is the start of it. Where that's kind of the baseline thing. Everybody's interested in paying less taxes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Now you've got that opportunity to have the other conversations with them. And it sounds like you're part of what, I talk about thinking about and organizing a group of people who all serve the same person but serve different needs, right? Like realizing that there's so many other financial needs that you have, and you've got a relationship for all of the things related to money in their world, right?
Yeah, our biggest thing is we want to know that the client's professionals are communicating with each other to keep the client's best interest in mind.
Okay. So do you think that might be, like, if you just said that we could get people to raise their hand for a book called Pay Zero Taxes, and that would be your sort of, that would be a great candidate for you once they're leaning forward, right? You could take a conversation from there and expand it out into all the ways that you can help somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So I would think that's the way to start the ball rolling here, is to imagine that you've got that as the language, and then once those people raise their hand, now we're in Profit Activator 3, right? So that's why the thing about the book as opposed to a workshop is that the way that we look at Profit Activator 2 is that it's a gateway into Profit Activator 3. It's just the transition, right? As soon as somebody responds for your book, you're done with Profit Activator 2, and now you have a visible prospect that is either a 5-star prospect or they're not. And that's what we need to determine, right? If we get 100 people to raise their hand and ask for the book, what we're looking for now is to see who are the ones among those who are going to be our ideal client. And when you look at it, that there's, of all of the things that you have, the total view of their big picture financial situation, there's so many ways that you're able to help them that over the lifetime of their earning and heading to retirement years, that it's a big number of what the lifetime value of somebody could be worth.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you guys make money? How's the short-term and long-term picture of that look for you guys?
Short-term is almost always going straight to becoming accounting clients, because most people just don't think the way that we do when it comes to accounting, and they're usually pretty astounded with the mindset shift. From there, we show them the other programs. So it depends after that as to what information we've uncovered between the initial snapshot and the tax consultations as to which way they're going to go. So it really, the client is the one who dictates from there. We don't ever want to tell them this is what you should do. We show them these are the things that we do. Here's the difference we could make, and which ones you like, which ones don't you like. But on that, if they're partners of ours, we get referral fees. If it's part of our investments, we actually don't take fees from our investments. We just become equity partners in the investments themselves with our clients.
Okay. And so what's to you, the sort of short-term and lifetime value of a client?
Short term, we could probably make, a couple thousand off them in the first year, but lifetime, it's really unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really, maybe I have a bit of a block. I don't like to talk about them in terms of value in the first year. I like to talk about the first year, 5 years that we can work with them.
Perfect. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, because we do show them investments,
Mm-hmm.
we start right off the bat with mindset of, this is not a year thing. This is 5 years minimum.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you generate returns. This is how you get ahead in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I usually give them a larger picture. One of the big things I ask them is when do you want to retire? At what age? How much money do you need? And how long do we have until we get there?
Mm-hmm.
And then I show them a clear path to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when I show them that clear path, it's like, oh my gosh, it's actually possible for me. And then they start.
Right. Yeah. And see, this is the thing where what you're offering could potentially be a dream come true for people, right? Because not many people are organizing themselves in a way that provides kind of multi-channel help to them. Most people are just an accountant trying to get their accounting business, and most people are just a financial advisor trying to get their investment business, or an insurance trying to just get their insurance business. And what you're talking about is setting up kind of a overriding kind of advisory role where you collectively are able to have a bigger impact because you can offer that synergistic kind of suite of services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I always, when I talk with people, I assure them like you've got a friend now, because a lot of people get really scared when it comes to their money.
Right. I like that. Okay. And so you've got this opportunity now that, this is a classic example of that. This is a situation where it fits into the idea that people have to know you, like you, and trust you, right? And the challenge is that most of the time people are thinking about know you, like you, trust you as one thing, right? They're reading it as one sentence. They've got to know you, like you, trust you. But in the grand scheme of things, rather than looking at it as one thing, looking at it as individual destinations, right? Know you, period. Like you, period. Trust you, period, right? And each step is more valuable than the one before it. So if we've gone from people who don't have any idea who you are, and we get a win by just getting them to raise their hand and ask for a book that starts the conversation, we've moved to now they know you and you know them. That's a win on itself. And now everything else in Profit Activator 3 is about building up that like and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing we can focus on, you can't infuse it all at one time. We've got to sort of start with what we know, which is who we suspect our target audience is, right? And the offer that we suspect may get them to raise their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And these are easy things to test, right? Like when I'm using the pay zero taxes as an example, and that sounds like a bold claim, but if it's something that is, if it's happened and there's a viable path to it that you can kind of demonstrate, then it's fair game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not misleading. It's not anything if you're showing how that really, how that happens,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing to get people to raise their hand. So if we looked at it, that you could see that being a good way to get people into your sphere, if you did that as online ads or print ads or postcards or unaddressed ad mail or whatever it is, getting into the hands of the right people, that becomes a great way to start the conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you look at that, that would be kind of a win if you could get something that would get those people who that message resonates, to raise their hand. Now we've got an opportunity to engage with them and have a conversation. And so the way I look at this process is, if you've got that book and you're offering it to people and they opt in for it, I look at your opt-in page as like a portal to your office. And you imagine that when they press send my book, that they're magically transported to your office. There's a knock on your door, and they stick their head in the door saying, "Hey, I'm here about the Pay Zero Taxes book."
Okay.
How would you have that conversation with somebody? And would that be valuable if you could get 50 or 100 of those people every day to knock on your door?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Right.
That would be incredible.
Right. So now
we'd have to hire more staff.
Well, there you go. So how do you have that conversation, right? So where would you take it from there? What would you say if somebody knocked on your door literally and said, yeah, I'm here about the Pay Zero Taxes book?
Well, I mean, we'd obviously give them the book.
Yeah, welcome. Here's the book. Yeah. Here it is.
And then from there, what we have done is to book a free consultation with our tax expert, which is an hour, and they have to come into the office or do it over the phone from that point.
Yep.
Or, if it was on the investment side, I'd fill out the snapshot with them. But I don't know if that's the most effective way to do it at that point.
Well, what would you say in that conversation? It's an interesting, like a real thing. If you were saying, if they did pop in, what would you want to know? What would you want to, how would that conversation go? What would be the first words? And you're absolutely right. When you look at it, that, you have that conversation, you'd give them the book. You'd say, hey, welcome. Yeah, here's the book.
You know what? The first thing I want to know is, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, you're right in the right thing. Then what would you want to know?
The first thing I want to know is why they want the tax strategy and what their pain point is.
Mm-hmm. So why do you want that? Would that be the question that you would ask them? Probably.
Yeah. No,
really?
Not no.
They pop their head in. I'm here about the Zero Taxes book. Well, why would you want that?
No, it'd be more about where they want to go, and like, I guess the reason I'd want to know why they want
where they are.
Yeah, right? Fair enough.
Are you self-employed, or do you have a job?
Yeah.
Right, because that's going to make a big difference, right? If what you're ultimately looking for are the people who have a job, because you can show them how to start a business, right? Or is it more helpful if they already have a business? The conversation would be different.
Yeah, the conversation is slightly different, but a lot of times they're still not aware of all the write-offs that they're entitled to.
Sure.
So both people would be great prospects for us, as long as they're interested in improving their current situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it would be like, what would that question be?
Right. And there's the thing, and I'm not, here's the thing. I just kind of sprung that on you, but I'm sharing with you the process of thinking about it, and what I would do in those situations is I literally sit in my office and imagine that scenario constantly. So I look at it that if I'm running an ad that that people are going to be opting in for, I imagine that opt-in page really does bring them into the office, and I will visualize one person standing there saying, I'm here about whatever the book title is, and imagining and in detail how that conversation might go. And I take a lot of time with this. I'm not looking at it just to check some boxes and come up with the right, just what are we going to send as the autoresponder? But that knowledge, that information, that empathy, that understanding and test driving of the conversations lead to making better emails about it. Because that's ultimately how we're going to be communicating with people, right? By email. And so even though they're not going to be transported to my office, what I want to do is the immediate email that I send them when they download, combined with the thank you page, are exactly what would happen if they open the door and come into the office, right? What do they see? What do they get? The first thing, like you said, well, I'd give them the book. So you're going to give them the book, but you wouldn't just hand them the book and say, go read that, and then after you've read it, then come back, right? Because their odds of them actually reading it are very slim. The fact that they asked for it is more important than whether they ever read it. Right. So you get that opportunity kind of on the thank you page and in the email that you send to give people, more information and kind of guide them on what to do next. And you may now point them to the videos that you have, the other things, now that you've already got the most important thing out of the way, which is turning them into a visible prospect.
Okay.
Now
and this wouldn't be where you'd use the 9-word email, right?
Part of it, absolutely. So the way I imagine it is, and a different thing, there's lots of different flavors of the 9-word email. But if I look at that as a short, personal, expecting a reply message, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So I look at the initial message as the opportunity we have as if they've walked into our office or our retail store. And instead of saying, can I help you? And them saying, no, thanks, I'm just looking, we're going to articulate in a better way the most important points that we want someone to know.
Okay.
So I use Jennifer Leathers as an example. You may have heard me talk about that, the furniture store, and they just sell leather sofas. But when you walk into Jennifer Leathers, they don't say, can I help you? And you say, no, thanks, I'm just looking. They say, welcome, have you been to Jennifer Leathers before? And when you say, well, no, I haven't, then you say, they tell you the 3 most important things that they want you to know. They say, well, welcome. All of the sofas that you see are available in any of the leathers on the back wall. They're all in stock and available for immediate delivery, and they're guaranteed for life. my name is Dean. Take a look around. If you see something you like, you have any questions, I'll be right here. Now, that sort of articulation right there lets people know that it doesn't matter if you don't see a red leather love seat in here, if that's what you're really looking for, because all of the love seats are available in any of the leathers, and there's 5 shades of leather or 5 shades of red back there. And it's not going to be a special order because they're all in stock. And even if you like the thin leather, they're guaranteed for life. So it's okay with the kids and the dog. So you get that opportunity, right? And that took literally 10 or 12 seconds to say that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what would be the things that you would want somebody to know or to have access to if it's the only time you get to see them? You know, they've never liked you more than the moment they press that send me my book button, you know? And so the thank you page and the immediate email that you send get to shape where you're going to go with it.
Yeah. Gosh, you're making me think so much. I just wrote down, like, it might be that, you know, this is the one place you can come to have a friend to help you guide all of your financial stuff. I mean, it's a really rough idea, but that's what you made me just think of as
right.
Kind of like that, you know, all of these leathers are available on all of the couches. Hey, you know what? These are the things that we do.
But I mean, here's the thing, right? Is that, you know, if you were to say the initial message where, you know, here's the thing. So the first step is, you know, paying 0 taxes, but then the other things, like you listed those other ways that you're talking about, right? To pay 0 taxes and to lower your mortgage payments and to lower your interest payments and to, you know, those kind of things. Even if you start with just those 3, you've kind of expanded it a little bit right now to make them aware that this is ultimately about cash flow. So to what end, though? So you can have more money to invest and to grow your wealth for future retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it all starts with, that's where the thing is, what we're already taking it from, all right, that's a no-brainer. We're going to lower your taxes. We're going to lower all of your interest. We're going to free up the money that you have. You know, all those kind of things, you're kind of setting the stage for them. And then when you send the next day a short 9-word or a spear message, we call it, short, personal, expecting a reply message, that you're able to say the things that would kind of guide that conversation. Now we're looking to see, are they willing to engage in a dialogue? You know, so we're saying, you might say to them, are you self-employed, or do you have a job, or do you own a business, or what would be the right thing? And none of these answers are going to come off the cuff. You know, I'm just sharing with you the music of it. But you'd spend a lot of time thinking this through and creating a word palette, you know, and a word palette is just sitting and thinking about all the phrases and the words, both positive and negative, that would be contextual in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You might encompass their objections. All the while, what we're trying to do is get a clear understanding of the mindset of the person who has downloaded that book right now, including their skepticism, including their hopes, including their enthusiasm, including all the things that are both positive and negative about it, so that we can draw from that in creating the dialogues that we're going to use,
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I remember the first time I subscribed to one of your emails. I got the 9-word email back, and I responded. I believe it was for your email mastery course. And I was shocked. I didn't expect it to come from an actual person. I was expecting it to be an autoresponder. And the fact that I was speaking to somebody was it threw me off quite a bit, actually.
That's funny, and I think that happens. That happens when people, that happens when people are engaged like that. Like when you send truly personal messages to people. First of all, people, you're very, even if you do the experiment now, just looking through your inbox for the last message that was truly meant for only you, you'd be surprised at how few of the messages that you actually get are from one person to one person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you get one, it has a different frequency energetically, and people know that, so it's immediately more engaging, because something happens where you realize, okay, this seems like it's a message only for me, and this is speaking to me like one person in a way that we're used to in a dialogue format, because every time we read something, what we're really doing is we're hearing it in our minds. Mm-hmm. We're not just reading the words. There's a voice in our heads that's reading these. And so we immediately feel then compelled to respond.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like getting a letter in the mail.
Right. Something, isn't it? I mean, rare and delightful.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. I got some thinking to do.
Well, but there's the thing. So now, if you think about the way you want to think about it, is that I have no doubt that, and you'll be able to experiment, but if pay zero taxes is the message, or lower your mortgage payment, or pay your house off faster, or free your RRSP, is you get a chance to test those as different front ends, things that are going to attract the right people. And then the dialogue is really about just engaging with them and finding out if they're 5-star prospects and where you want to go with that, right? So we just look at it that we're looking to see, are they willing to engage in a dialogue? Are they friendly and cooperative? Do they know what they want? Do they know when they want it? And would they like us to help them? And so when we look at those, engaging in that dialogue is really, if you ask somebody a pretty reasonable question, if you've just downloaded a book called Pay Zero Taxes, for you to say to somebody, hey, Geoff, welcome aboard. Are you do you own a business, or are you employed? Mm-hmm. Or are you self-employed, or do you have a job? Or, and you may test drive different sorting questions like that, right? Where it's easy to get somebody to respond either or, because they don't have to think too much about that. They might say, oh no, I work at Glaxo or whatever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now that person is an employee, and it shapes the way that you have the conversation now, because your next question would be different than if they said, yeah, I own my own business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the whole goal is to think about how can I, in 3 or 4 steps, get to a point where I'm getting together with some people next Tuesday for a workshop on how to pay zero taxes. Would you like to join us? That's where we're headed with this, right? We don't want to give up having the workshop, and we don't want to go right into having a personal consultation with people, which might meet some resistance.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go to we want to amplify every step along the way what we're already doing.
Wow, you just reordered the way things are in my brain. It's amazing.
Right. But that's it, right? And that's sometimes all it takes. And then it just is so easy to turn up the volume because now you've got the scale ready algorithm, right? And it's inexpensive to test these things out as you're going. You're going to over invest time and attention in finding the right words that resonate. But once you find them, then you can turn up the volume.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad it's a long weekend here in Canada. I think I'm going to stay in my apartment and just think all weekend.
Well, and that's a great thing. I mean, that's really what I'm talking about, And you already have a great workshop. You've got a proven model, right? Like if I just said, hey, I can deliver 100 people to your workshop, that you could take it from there. It sounds like where the big opportunity is just getting more people at the workshops.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's the win. That's the step, is I think the book as the lead generator, and then engaging with those people and knowing that it's okay if they don't come to this workshop because you're constantly doing workshops, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your Profit
Absolutely.
Activator 3 now becomes about what are you going to do to continue educating and motivating these people. And the fact that you have a whole syndicate of people that you are surrounding yourself with, it would be a great thing to do a podcast, And maybe you do. I don't know. Do you do a podcast?
No, but it's really funny because my partner and I have been talking about starting one.
Yeah. But you
That's
imagine
so
that, if you had a podcast, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, you look at this podcast is the simplest thing in the world. It's
That's
just you and I talking, right? But it's just value from concentrate. It's just just the stuff. So you've got the opportunity to record a podcast that then creates all the other derivatives that you can use as assets as well. Like all those emails that I send you are all derivative of the transcript of these podcast episodes.
So you create your own info source.
Yeah, so something that we've said today on this podcast is going to show up in your inbox as a 300 to 500 word encapsulation of one of the stories that I told you or the concepts that I shared. So it's all my words, but it's just framed as an article. And so you've got that opportunity if you're doing the podcast, because the talking is still the fastest bandwidth way to get stuff out of your brain into a digital format.
Absolutely.
By speaking and recording it. Then you've got the audio, then you've got the transcript that you can get the derivatives from and add to.
Wow.
And I get your message isn't going out of style.
No.
Right? It's not like it's going to be a short-term window that you have to do this. It's like pay zero taxes has been around since the Tea Party, I mean.
No, that's so much value.
I love it. And that's great. So, it's a lot to kind of take in all at once, but I've seen this, this model I've seen just work so much. This is really what you've got. Of course, you'll listen to this episode again, and you'll hear more and differently because your mind's not like it wasn't a mind bomb that you're looking to think and shape your answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably listen to it a couple 100 times, but
there you go. And we do the transcript we do the transcript too, so you can read that. But yeah, I think that you're on the right path. I think you see it crystal clear. What's your take?
Absolutely. I you know what? As you're telling me, I'm flipping through the Profit Activator scorecards. You actually gave them to me. We met once at an I Love Marketing meetup.
And,
nice. Yeah, through Diana Santaguida.
Right.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine now. But I'm as I go through them, I'm like, yeah, we got that one. And then when you started focusing on 3, that is where my challenge comes from, because I get short of content for the emails that I send out. But if we start the podcast, that solves that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously number 2 is getting them to raise their hands. That's wow. I'm speechless, actually, Dean.
Oh, that's great. Well, there you go.
If anybody,
but you can model that same thing. There's a scorecard for you. That's a thing that your clients. The scorecard I use. And this is the thing. Is like I use that as such a diagnostic tool. Like I know when people fill out the scorecard, it's like we know exactly what the help that somebody needs is,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's totally after I filled it out, it is like number 1 was the lowest score on there.
Yeah. So perfect.
Wow. Oh, I can't thank you enough.
That's been fun. That goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I was really nervous when I got on here. I didn't know what was going to happen. You're an evil genius, and I.
Oh, that's funny.
I didn't know what the outcome would be, but I'm speechless. And anybody that knows me, that's not something that happens very often.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool. Keep me posted because I think you got some really great opportunity there.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much, Dean. I really, really appreciate this.
You're very welcome.
Awesome.
It's
been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be a part of More Cheese, Less Whiskers. I've been listening since your first podcast went out.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Me too. I love it.
But yeah, big fan. So thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Geoff. Keep me posted.
Absolutely, I will. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Take care.
And there we have it. I love when a good evil scheme comes together. And, that was a lot of concepts that we talked about there. But I think if you've been listening to the episodes long enough, you know that the path of getting people to raise their hand using a book as the front end lead generator is the highest converting thing that we have. And so it's great that you're starting to see the patterns of how the profit activators all work in concert. We know that Geoff was able to take it from the workshop on, that they're going to be able to educate people, to make offers, to help them become lifetime clients. So it was really the front end of the before unit that was the biggest opportunity. And we didn't even get into the after unit. And maybe we'll do that on a follow-up episode once they get the front end all dialed in. And so, I see that again and again and again, and we start to see these patterns emerge that just sometimes jump starting the front end can make a big difference. And of course, I share these strategies with you, but it's important to know that I have a whole team of people standing by to help you actually implement these strategies. So we talk about using books, and I have a whole team of people standing by to help you actually write and publish your lead generation books at 90minutebooks.com. So check that out. And we're standing by, ready to help you. If you'd like to download a copy of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers book, you can do that at morecheeselesswhiskers.com. You can also be a guest on the show. And one of the things that we talked about that's really a great diagnostic tool for you is our Profit Activator Scorecard. And you can do that online. We have an online scorecard at profitactivatorscore.com, and you'll get to see which of the 8 profit activators are either growing or slowing your business right now. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time.